The Knicks are one of the most historic franchises in the NBA's history. And to be honest with you, the all the cornerstone franchises, which we consider the Lakers, Bulls, Celtics, and obviously the Knicks are worse. They've only won two championships and have been bottom feeders in the league for the past 5+ years. Despite this, the Knicks are worth around $4 billion, making them the most expensive franchise in the league. To put this into perspective, the average is around $1.87 billion for the NBA. The Knicks also have the best fans in the league. Period.
Period! 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 Period!
But haven't you ever wondered how one of the most historic franchises in sports came to be? It all started in 1946. College basketball was extremely profitable in New York. Max Case and Walter A. Brown thought that a more professional league would be even more profitable. Multiple representatives from multiple cities met in the Commodore Hotel in New York. This is where many teams were created. Case originally thought that he would own the team, but because Madison Square Garden was owned by Ned Irish, he would take ownership of the team. Irish wanted a distinct name for this team that would represent New York, and after tallying votes, they would choose the Knickerbockers. This is actually the current name for the Knicks today. So in the first few years, the Knicks actually made the playoffs. Yes, they made the playoffs. You heard that correctly. In 1950, they would sign Nathaniel Sweetwater Clifton, which made the Knicks the first professional basketball team to sign an African American player. The Knicks would make 3 consecutive final trips from 1950 to 1953. They would lose to the Rochester Royals. Wait, who is that today? That's the Kings today. The Kings won a championship before the Knicks. This is the same team that drafted Tom Robinson. No, not that Tom Robinson. That Tom Robinson. When Damian Lillard was available. But I'm ranting. Let me get back to my main focus. In the next 2 appearances, they would lose to the Minneapolis Lakers. Eventually, Karl Braun would emerge as the leading all-time scorer for the Knicks with 10,000 points. That wouldn't last long. After the 3 finals appearances, the Knicks would fall into bad times. On March 2nd, 1962, they would face the Philadelphia Warriors, where they allowed some dude named Wilt Chamberlain to score 100 points on them. This is still currently the most amount of points scored in a single game. To make matters worse, in the 1962 draft, they would select Paul Hogue before future Hall of Famer John Havlicek, who would go on to become a 13-time All-Star, an MVP, and an 8-time champion. He also went 8-0 in the finals, and obviously became a Hall of Famer. But the fortunes changed when in 1964, they would get one right. They would pick Willis Reed, who would win an MVP in 1970 and would become a 7-time All-Star. It doesn't stop there. The next draft they selected Bill Bradley from Princeton, who would become a Hall of Famer and become an important piece to the team. In 1967, they drafted the best point guard to ever put on a Knicks jersey, Walt Clyde Frazier. It's not a debate. In the 1969-1970 season, they swung a trade for Dave DeBusschere, a forward from Detroit who would actually be an important piece for the Knicks' upcoming seasons. After this trade, the Knicks made an amazing push in the playoffs. They would make the finals where they would play the Lakers, who had many future Hall of Famers including Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, and the man who put up 100 points on them, Wilt Chamberlain. In the first 4 games, Willis Reed would hold Wilt Chamberlain to 19 points per game, and Willis himself would put up 32 points per game. But in Game 5, Willis Reed would suffer a torn thigh muscle, and in Game 6, because of this, Wilt Chamberlain would put up video game-like numbers, 45 points and 27 rebounds. He put up a 45 and 25. Crazy. It looked like the Knicks were choking until this happened.
I think we see Willis coming out.
Here comes Willis. And the crowd is going wild. Arnett to Reed on the forecourt. Right side from 20. Jumps. Yes. Willis has hit on his first 2. He bullets one down court that is intercepted by the Busher. Fast break for the next. The Busher on the drive. Leads Reardon. Driving shot is good.
Yep, the Knicks had finally done it. They were champions for the first time, and they did it against Wilt Chamberlain, the 100-point man. Revenge is really a dish best served cold. The Knicks would win another championship in 1973 against, who knew it, the Lakers again. And to make things sweeter, they would beat the Celtics on their way to the finals. They would beat the Celtics team led by John Havlicek, the man they passed on. At the end of the 1973-74 season, Willis Reed announced his retirement from the game. After this, the team's fortune would change for the worse. They would post multiple losing records until the 1980-81 season, where they would have 50 wins, but they would lose to the Bulls in the first round of the playoffs. Next season, they would go 33-49. After this season, William Holzman, the coach who led them to 2 championships, would retire. Hubie Brown replaced Holzman as a head coach. And in his first season, the team went 44-38 and made it to the second round of the playoffs, where they were swept by eventual champions Philadelphia 76ers. The next season, the team was aided by the new acquisition of Bernard King. They improved to a 47-35 record and returned to the playoffs. The team defeated the Pistons in the first round with an overtime win in the 5th and deciding game, before losing in the second round in 7 games to the Celtics. The team's struggles continued into the 1984-85 season, as they lost their last 12 games to finish with a 24-58 record. But after this season, their fortune would change.
The second pick in the 1985 NBA draft goes to the Indiana Pacers.
The horseshoe works. Basketball is back in New York City, my friend.
The first pick in the 1985 NBA college draft.
We know differently, and here's David Stern with the announcement.
First pick, select Patrick Ewing.
Yep, that's right. The Knicks would win the lottery, and they would get the number 1 pick and would draft Patrick Ewing, a star big man out of Georgetown. In Ewing's first season, he would win the Rookie of the Year award, but the team didn't do so well. In the 1987 draft, they would draft Mark Jackson in the late first round, proved to be a key addition, who would also win Rookie of the Year. They also hired Rick Pitino as a head coach. Next season, they would make the playoffs and they would lose to the Celtics in the first round. The next season, few seasons, resulted in Knicks losing to the Michael Jordan-led Bulls in the playoffs. It was essentially like Groundhog Day. Until...
This is a Channel 5 News special report.
Good morning. I'm Warner Saunders.
And I'm Allison Rosati. What a shocker. In a matter of moments, Michael Jordan is expected to officially announce his retirement.
The Knicks would take advantage of MJ's retirement, making the finals in the 1993-94 season. They would play the Houston Rockets, looking for a first title. It's been a while, but it's Game 6. We're up 3-2. John Starks has been clutch, has been huge for us this entire season, and he has the last shot.
7 and 6/10 seconds to go. Rockets lead by 2, and here is Starks.
Look for 3, it's tipped, and it's knocked away, and the Rockets win! The ball was tipped. It was personally blocked. And Elijah.
Okay, it's all right. Game 7, fourth quarter. We have a game. Just give the ball to John Starks. Keep on feeding him. He's been Mr. Fourth Quarter this entire. And he's going 2 for 18 and has 5 outs. Don't worry, Pat Riley will know what to do. Just got a sub in Rolando Blackman, a certified bucket getter, and is a good scorer and is a veteran made for these moments. And why is he not subbing off Starks? Okay, come on. Starks, make a 3 or something. It's one way to lose a title. The next season, the Knicks would make it to the semis, setting up a series with the Pacers. Look, it's game 1, we're up by 6. with 18 seconds to go. We should win this one. Let's see this finish.
There at the conclusion of this game. A game that's seen nearly 60 fouls called. Actually, that is short of the record for both teams in a playoff game. Miller for three, and he got it. Reggie Miller with a clutch tray, and it's 105-102. And a steal. Miller retreats to the three-point line and hits again.
Tie game. No need to foul, and that's it. Your ball gets stolen. Mason not able to call timeout.
Starks misses. Neither team has a timeout remaining.
Pacers have to box out here if they expect to win this game. Last time, similar situation, Anthony with the offensive board. A make is okay for the Pacers.
Starks misses. Batted around. Ewing has it. His shot, no good. Reggie Miller the rebound and a foul with 7.5. For only the second time in 16 games, this will be the magic number for them here as well.
It's like Indiana's win in game 1 at Orlando last year.
Miller hits two.
No timeouts.
Anthony stumbles and falls. Time runs out.
Damn, that's actually tough. But don't worry, we got this series. Come on, Game 7, get the ball in Ewing's hand and let him finish it off.
To the corner, the inbounds to Ewing. Down to 3, down to 2. Ewing, not over the head, and it's all over. The Indiana Pacers have defeated the New York Knicks 97.
Don't worry, guys. Just run it back. Got a good team and one of the best coaches in the league. We really can't catch a break, huh? What's gonna happen? MJ's gonna return to basketball. Huh. Don't worry. He's pretty rusty. And we just lost to the Bulls in the second round again. So, in the 1996-97 season, the Knicks would make it to the second round, which they would face the Heat, who was coached by Pat Riley. Victory would be sweet. Revenge would be sweet. And the Knicks would take a 3-1 lead until...
Hardaway, no. Rebound, New York. And fists are flying at the other end. Larry Johnson is one of them. Here we go. Oakley and Mourning have at each other.
Of course. Knicks are going to Knicks. Nick. His bench clearing brawl will lead to a suspension of key players, and the Knicks would lose the series, blowing a 3-1 lead. Wow. The next season, they lost Ewing to a wrist injury, but they still managed to make the playoffs, and they would beat the Heat in 4. That's revenge for you. But would lose to the Pacers in the second round. Again, the Knicks knew they needed a change. In the offseason, they would trade Charles Oakley for Marcus Camby, and they would also trade John Starks for Latrell Sprewell, who was actually on his way to an MMA career because he choked out his own coach. And, well, let's be real here. The Knicks gave him a second chance. And this season, the Knicks barely got into the playoffs as an 8th seed. They faced the first seed Heat in the first round, still coached by Pat Riley, and they would beat him in 5 games. They stuck it to Pat. I have to mention that Latrell Sprewell is actually a pleasant surprise, putting up 16 points a game, and he did not choke his coach once. That's amazing. They would beat the Hawks and the Pacers, but would lose in Ewing to an injury. Again, they will lose in the finals against the Spurs. Next season, they'll lose to the Pacers again in the conference finals. During the offseason, Knicks would trade Ewing, ending an era of arguably the best player to wear the Knicks blue and orange. After the Ewing trade, the Knicks would struggle. They would hire Isaiah Thomas as a GM, who would plunge the Knicks into darkness. He would trade for Antonio McDyess using a number 1 pick. He traded a number 1 pick for Antonio McDyess, who isn't that good. Trash. And he would also trade number 1 pick for Andrea Bargnani. Wow, that's horrible.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
The Knicks have never been good since. They had one nice little season in 2012-2013 season where they would become the 2nd seed in the East and they would make the 2nd round of the playoffs. And it was honestly amazing to watch. But then after that, they flopped. Like always, they messed it up. In 2014, they would sign Phil Jackson, not as a coach where he belongs, no, as a GM, thinking, oh, this hasn't not worked before. And then in the 2014 draft, the one good move Phil Jackson made.
With the 4th pick in the 2015 NBA draft, the New York Knicks select Kristaps Porzingis from Liepaja, Latvia. He last played for us.
Drafting Kristaps Porzingis, we booed him at the time. Other teams laughed at us. But then, his rookie season, Kristaps would finish top 3 in Rookie of the Year voting. But then, Phil Jackson gives Carmelo Anthony a gargantuan contract with a no-trade clause. And this is important in the future. And then, 2018, the Knicks fired Phil Jackson. Thank God. Good riddance. But not after, he drafted future bust, Frank Ntilikina, when Donovan Mitchell, the best player, would end up becoming the best player in the draft, was available. And everybody's saying, oh yeah, he was picked 13, the Knicks had 8th pick. No, well actually, all the other people in the front office were considering drafting Donovan Mitchell. Then they hired Scott Perry and Steve Mills as their GM and president of basketball operations. This is a good move. I love these guys. These are amazing GMs. And then the next offseason, they drafted Kevin Knox in the 1st round and Mitchell Robinson, who would end up becoming a steal. And then they would sign Alonzo Trier to a 2-year contract. Alonzo Trier would also become a steal, nearly making the all-rookie 2nd team, if I remember correctly. And Mitchell Robinson would make the all-rookie 2nd team because he showed flashes of being a defensive monster. Absolute beast. And then it happened in January 2019, earlier this year. Kristaps Porzingis wants out. He tore his ACL and he still wanted out. And later on, we find out that Kristaps gave the Knicks only 7 days to trade him, and then and if they didn't trade him, he would just go right back to Europe. He would go back to Latvia and just start playing in Latvia again. And then, so the Knicks listened to him. They traded him to the Mavericks. They would get a really nice return package, and Dennis Jr., a pick, DeAndre Jordan, and Wesley Matthews. And the most important piece of this was cap space, because they were also able to get rid of the salaries of Tim Hardaway Jr. and Courtney Lee. And if I remember correctly, I'm trying to remember the other one. That was it. But the main part is they had cap salary and they have space for 2 max contracts in a loaded free agent class, including Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, and Kyrie Irving. 3 superstars. And also, if you want to consider Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris, Kemba Walker, also Klay Thompson's supposed to be free agent too. There's a ton of free agents. A lot, way too many, but it's amazing. The Knicks would also have another big thing to look forward to: the draft lottery. They were in the top 4, the final 4 for the number 1 pick, but they ended up getting the 3rd pick. It is what it is. They draft RJ Barrett. They should draft RJ Barrett. But then the fate of the Knicks is in the Knicks' hands for this offseason. This offseason will decide if they're going to be a contender next year, or if they're going to continue in mediocrity, or if they're going to continue to build from within, build through the draft. Personally, I like it that way, but I'm not going to get angry if they sign Kevin Durant. easy. Why would I? He's the top 3 player in the league without a doubt. So yeah, that's essentially it. Knicks' future is in their hands, and it's up to them what they do with it. And that's the history of the Knicks.